Okay, Jax, you gotta get off now. Daddy's gotta talk about waifus. Hello all of my otaku friends, my name is Prof Otaku, and welcome back to my channel. For this Should You Read Sunday, I decided to dabble in some unfamiliar territory. So today we're doing a triple header. We're going to take a look at some magical girls, we're going to take a look at some idols, and with a little sprinkling of supernatural in there as well. Stay tuned. So before we take a look at our very first manga today, Phantom of the Idol, I do want to give a shout out to the sponsor of this Should You Read Sunday, Right Stuff Anime and Kodansha Comics. I'll be honest with you, Kodansha surprising me between this and Blue Lock, some really nice looking releases as of late. And of course, Right Stuff Anime, I don't need to say anything about them. They are one of the top retailers for all of your anime, manga, and otaku merchandise in North America. With fantastic shipping and great customer service, you just cannot go wrong with getting your manga at a discounted price. So as always, thanks to Devin and the Right Stuff team for always supporting the channel and supporting me reviewing new manga for the Should You Read Sunday series. So Right Stuff Anime sent this manga to me to review, and honestly, I never read an idol manga before, nor do I know anything about the idol world. But I have to say, this was actually not half bad. I was pleasantly surprised. So this manga follows a boys idol group called the Zings. They are a duo, a really kind of a ragtag team. You've got one guy who is just super enthusiastic, very charismatic, loves to be there. And then you have this guy right here who doesn't want anything to do with idols at all, and he just wants to collect a paycheck. So one day as he's sulking in the corner after a terrible performance and his manager's like, okay, this is it, one more performance and you're out, then we have the Phantom girl come in. Now she's a very popular idol from back in the past, but the whole shtick is that she actually died. And so she comes to this guy here and says, hey, can I possess your body and control you, and you can just kind of lay back and chill out, and I'll do all your idol stuff for you. I can live vicariously through you. He agrees, and thus sparks a really interesting and quirky friendship as this girl possesses this guy, and the pop duo boys group Zings goes to try to become the best pop idol group in the world. So what I will say about the manga is that it's a really interesting take on the idol genre. It's got very similar vibes to Dress Up Darling, where we get a lot of information on the idol lifestyle and what it means to be an idol in terms of balancing social media, stage presence, etc. Along with that, we get really fantastic art. It's really nice to see. The panelings are done really well as just the flow of all the action scenes. It's really easy to follow. But don't get me wrong, this is not a perfect manga. This isn't a manga that's just going to blow you out of the water. It's very slice of lifey, so if you're not really into that, or if you're not into idols at all, then definitely don't check this out, because you're just not really going to like it, to be honest with you. Another kind of gripe I have with this is actually the main character guy. His whole shtick is like, I don't want to be here, I don't want to do this idol thing, and that's fine. But as I continued to read it, it just got kind of old kind of fast. So nothing was like progressing with him as a character in this first volume. And knowing that this is a 5-volume series, I'm going to give it another volume or two, hoping that there's progression with this main character. But if there's not, I can see myself dropping it. But on the contrary to that, there's very obvious tells that this is going to progress in a direction where he's kind of going to start changing his ways and become the idol that she wants him to be, basically. But there are some really nice comedic moments in here, and also some drama at the end of this volume, which is really kind of nice and refreshing. Just from this first volume alone, I'd have to give it about a 6.5 out of 10. I'm going to give it another volume or two, see how it progresses. There's potential here and it's interesting, but it's not my favorite thing in the world. Next up is a volume 1 that I was totally shocked about. I went into this completely cold turkey, and I'm so glad that I did, and that is Shadow's House. This is a brand new release by Yen Press in the single volume editions, very similar to Laid Back Camp and Die Dark in terms of size. Really nice matte finish, but absolutely beautiful artwork and some really nice color pages here in the front as well as the back as well. It's like a little mini art book, which is actually really nice. So for those of you who don't know what this series is about or haven't checked out the anime adaptation that's being released this season, this is basically about a group of nobles that are shadows. So these dolls have no physical faces or really any physical bodies at all. So to help them get along in the world, they enlist the help of living dolls. These are girls that are created in basically their own image. Just like in the title Shadow's House, the goal of the living dolls is to clean up after these shadows and also act as a mirror or as a shadow to them, giving them life and personality in a physical form. And so we follow our two main characters, Kate and Emiliko. Emiliko is the living doll, and we see their relationship together as they go through their day-to-day activities in this really unique and weird world. So if I can compare this manga to anything, it has the exact same framework as Arya the Masterpiece. And you know, if I'm comparing it to Arya the Masterpiece, you know that I think that this is really good. So this manga is a slice of life manga, and I love slice of life because it's like a blank palette or a blank canvas. There's so many different directions that you can take with this, and just like Arya the Masterpiece, this manga uses a really unique and interesting world to give all these different slice of life scenarios new life and new meaning. So in the first 2 pages of this manga, they set up the world for us and they just tell us exactly what we need to know, and then we just get going with this manga. And then through very expertly written dialogue between our two main characters, we get more immersion into the world and little snippets of information that just really open this manga up and make it super interesting. And lastly, there are some super dark undertones. Why are there shadows in the first place? What's going on in this really weird world? There's some really creepy characters in here, and they're all set up in a way that make me want to keep reading more, which is exactly what a first volume needs to do. So to wrap up this manga, I have to say this manga gets a 10 out of 10 for me. Shadow's House was expertly written, and if it continues to go in this direction, I can see this being one of my top 20 favorite series of all time. I love the characters. I want to know more about the world. I think the artwork is absolutely beautiful, and I think that this is just a true hidden gem in the conglomerate of Yen Press stuff. And last but not least, today we're dabbling in some magical girls. We are talking about Madoka Magica. Now, Madoka Magica is an anime original, but I did decide to go with the manga for this one because I just don't have the patience to watch anime anymore, and these omnibuses really kind of stuck out to me in the bookstore. So what's really interesting about the Madoka Magica canon franchise for the manga adaptation is that they're all 3 volumes long, and I think Magica Quartet actually requested that because it's just universal across the board. So Madoka Magica follows 4 girls here. They're all magical girls, obviously, and their goal in this world is to fight witches who prey on the emotions of humans. By killing off these witches, the magical girls save the human population and keep the world at peace. But if our magical girls do not kill any witches, then their soul gems start to become polluted and bad things start to happen. But look, don't let this cover fool you. This is like one of the most messed up manga that I've ever read. It's just so unsuspectingly dark. So I cannot talk about the source material of the anime because I've never watched the anime. But I will say, if you're going to take a 26 episode series and condense it into 3 volumes, it's just not gonna work that effectively. So reading this manga is like being on a really fast roller coaster, and you're like going down the hill and you're just getting pelted by like birds and shit, and you're just like, what the hell? So the first 2 volumes are really focused on the action with a little sprinkle of world building in there, but it causes lots of confusion because you're sitting back and reading this thing and you're going, what's going on? Why is this the way that it is? You're questioning everything that you read. And it's not until the last volume that this manga kind of lays everything out for you and goes, okay, well, this is the world. And it's cool. And you're like, whoa. But then you have to like go back and think, well, okay, now this is because of this, and then this lines up with this. And I just don't want to be playing that game when I'm reading manga. The reveal of the world just came a little bit too late for me, which I think is just the downfall of this manga. And it's because it's only 3 volumes long. The Magica Quartet put the mangaka into a square box basically. And they're like, okay, this is what you gotta work with. And they tried the best that they could, and it just didn't work. Now, what I will say is that this manga has beautiful art, really interesting and dynamic battles, and you still get the personality of all 4 of the girls in this manga. So in terms of the adaptation from that sense, it's not half bad. But now for something a little different actually. This is the Madoka Magica, the different story 3-volume omnibus. And this follows, I think her name is Mami. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm not sure. I didn't watch the anime, but I like to say Mami's a mommy because she's like best girl. I'm going to hell. But it follows her in an alternate timeline from the main series. Basically, what if something in this volume didn't happen? This is what this is. Now, what I will say is that you put these 2 manga together and you read them both together, you've got a pretty darn good series. But with the different story, I actually like this so much better because I like the 2 main characters better. I think Kyoko is a really interesting character with a really cool backstory, and Mami is just so cool. Her powers are sick. She's a very well written character, and she's just that mature pedestal that's needed in this conglomerate of young magical girl immaturity. A lot of the pacing issues presented in the original series manga are fixed in this. Things are just slowed down a lot more emphasis on world building and understanding why they are doing the actions that they're doing. And it's a fantastic accompaniment piece to the main series, even if they are in different timelines, because we get a little bit more of the world that helps us understand what's going on in the main series. So for those of you who have never read or watched Magical Girl series at all, I highly recommend Madoka Magica because it's not happy-go-lucky magical girls, which was just my perception of magical girls. This is a really dark, really serious, really interesting magical girl take, and that's why I really enjoyed it. And for those of you who have watched the anime and are looking to see if this is an adaptation that you should pick up, this one is fine, this one is great, and together they work really well together. So get both of these, because if you read both of these together, I think you're really going to enjoy your time with this series. If you just read this, you're just going to be confused and yearning for just the original anime with its slower pacing and more shelled out 26 episodes. And that is it for my triple header Should You Read Sunday Magical Idol Girls manga series. I hope you enjoyed this look into 3 quite different series, but really interesting reads. I do recommend all of them, of course, some more than others. As always, if you enjoy my videos, please hit that like button, tap the subscribe button, hit that notification bell so that you know when more of my videos come out, and I will see you in the next one. Take care now. Bye-bye.